Now, in the last video, we talked about business units and strategic business units. Now, we'll be doing some kind of an in-depth discussion on business units, by which we'll be talking about strategic planning in different business units. Now, we begin with the business mission. We begin again with mission. Of course, in everything that we do in marketing, it has to have a mission, a kind of a direction by which we need to go through in the implementation of whatever we want to do. Each business unit needs to define its specific mission within the broader company mission. If there is a broader company mission, and each business, strategic business units must have its own mission and must achieve the main or the broader company mission. Now, when we're talking about the business or strategic business units, we'll be talking also about SWOT analysis or PESTEL analysis, goal formulation, strategic formulation, program formulation, and implementation. Now, here is an example of how a strategic plan is conducted and implemented in the context of a business unit. Of course, we start with the business mission, and we already know what a mission and how to craft a mission. Then we conduct what we call as a SWOT analysis or a PESTEL analysis, which talks about the external environment. And now with respect to SWOT analysis, we talk about the specific internal and external environment. Then we formulate goals, we formulate strategies, and then we formulate specific programs in order for us to arrive at a certain goal, and then we implement. And then after implementation, we get feedback and control and go back to the business mission, whether or not the business mission is achieved or not. Now, if it's not achieved yet, we go back again to SWOT analysis and so on. The cycle never ends. Now we proceed with SWOT analysis or strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, SWOT analysis is a very important tool in the situational analysis before you conduct any marketing campaign or any form of strategic marketing. Now, strength simply talks about the capability of a particular company in a specific market scenarios. Your strength, what are your best assets? Now, when we talk about weaknesses stops an organization from performing at its optimum level. There are areas where businesses needs to improve to remain competitive. Weak brands, higher than average turnover, high levels of debts, and inadequate supply chain or lack of capital. Next element is opportunities. Opportunities refers to the favorable external factors that could give an organization a competitive advantage. For example, if a country cuts tariff, a car manufacturer can export its cars to a new market, increasing sales and market shares. Then we have what we call as threats. Threats refers to the factors that have potential harm to an organization. For example, a drought is a threat to a wheat producing company as it may destroy or reduce crop yields. Other common threats includes things like rising cost of materials, increasing competition, tight labor supply, and so on. Then we have PESTEL analysis. A PESTEL analysis helps organization identify the external forces that could impact their market and analyze how they could directly impact their business. It's important when undertaking such an analysis that factors affecting the organization are not identified but are also assessed. For example, what impact might they have to the organization? The outcome of PESTEL analysis can be used to populate opportunities and threats in a SWOT analysis. Now, PESTEL is simply political, economic, sociological, technological, environmental, and legal analysis or PESTEL analysis. Now, when dealing with the strategic business unit plans, we have to recognize certain market opportunities in order for us to be able to capitalize on these opportunities and make profit. Now, market opportunities may be in different forms. A company may benefit from converging industry trends and introduce hybrid products or services to the new market. Let's say, for example, Tesla offering electric cars, or during the time where there is no smartphones, Apple offered smartphones. A company may make a buying process more convenient or efficient. That's the reason why we have e-commerce that offers a convenient way of purchasing goods online. A company can meet the need for more information and advice. Online consulting, that's an example. A company can customize a product or service, or introduce new capabilities, or may be able to deliver product or service faster, or may be able to offer a product at a lower price. Now, after looking at the opportunities, we have to set the goal. Now, by looking at different opportunities that we see in a specific market, we have to formulate goals and must be arranged hierarchically from most to less important. The objectives should be quantitative whenever possible, which means that goals should be realistic. And so we have a concept of SMART goals. The SMART goals, which means specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. And objectives must be consistent. Then we have strategic formulation. After knowing what are our goals, we formulate strategies. Goals indicate what a business unit wants to achieve. A strategy is the game plan for getting there. Every business must design a strategy for achieving its goals, consisting of a marketing strategy and a compatible technology strategy and sourcing strategy. These are the Porter's generic strategies. Number one, overall cost leadership. The firms work to achieve the lowest production and distribution cost so they can underprice competitors and win market share. They need less skill in marketing. The problem is that other firms will usually compete with still lower cost and hurt the firm that rested its whole future on cost. Then we have another one, the differentiation strategy. The business concentrate on achieving superior performance and important customer benefit area valued by large part of the market. The firm seeking quality leadership, for example, must make product with the best components, put them together expertly, inspect them carefully, and effectively communicate their quality. And then we have focus strategies. Now, this strategy, which uses business to focus on one or more narrow market segment, gets to them intimately, and pursues their cost leadership or differentiation within that target segment. Now, another strategy is what I call as alliances. Now, there are several kinds of alliances that can be undergone by different companies, and one of that is product or service alliances, the mergers of one particular company towards serving serving a specific segment with a combined products or product alliance. We have promotional alliances. wherein two or more companies join together to promote one specific goods or service. And then we also have logistic alliances, wherein an e-commerce company hires a logistic partner that would deliver products to the target customers. Then we also have pricing collaborations, which of course, let's say for example, hospitals and oil companies actually have pricing collaborations wherein if one reduce a centavo, the other one will also do the same. This is what I call as pricing collaborations, part of strategic alliances. Then we have implementation with all of the goals and strategies at the disposal. Then the marketing officers have to implement these strategies. And this is where day-to-day basis is counted. What you're going to do in a particular day-to-day basis in order for you to arrive at your goals. Now, strategy implementation is the translation of the chosen strategy into organizational action. So as to achieve strategic goals and objectives. Strategy implementation is also defined as the manner of which the organization should develop, utilize, amalgamate organizational structure, control system, and culture to follow strategies that led to the competitive advantage and better performance. Following the main steps in implementing a strategy. Number one, developing an organization having potential of carrying out strategy successfully. Next is disbursement of abundant resources to strategy essential activities. So you have to allocate resources well. Next is creating strategy encouraging policies. Create a policy that enables the human resource to of developing certain creative strategies. Next is employing best policies in program for constant improvement. If there are good programs, you have to develop it more to perfect it. Then linking reward structures to accomplishment of results. This is in relation to human resource. That if one particular employee is performing well, then you have to provide a reward structure for accomplishment. Next is make use of strategic leadership. This is an example of the difference between strategy formulation and strategy implementation. Now, strategy formulation includes planning, decision making, involves in developing organizations' strategic goals and plans, while implementation is simply executing these strategic plans. Now, strategy formulation, placing forces before action. In dealing with implementation, managing forces during the action. Forces meaning the market forces. Next is entrepreneurial activity based on strategic decision making. But in implementation, it is an administrative task. You have to do it. Now, with respect to strategy perspective, we talk about the effectiveness. Is it effective? Was the strategy effective? Or will this strategy be effective? But in implementation, we talk about efficiency. Is the strategy efficient? Is the implementation efficient? As to strategy formulation, it is a rational process. You think about it. But on strategy implementation, it is operational process. We do things, so on and so forth. Then we have feedbacking and control. Strategy evaluation is as significant as strategy information because it throws light on the efficiency and effectiveness of a comprehensive plans in achieving the desired result. The managers can also assess the appropriateness of the current strategy in today's dynamic world with socioeconomic, political, technological innovations. Strategic evaluation is the final phase of the strategic management. The significance of strategy evaluation lies in its capacity to coordinate and tasks performed by managers, group, departments, etc. to the control of performance. Strategic evaluation is significant because of various factors such as developing inputs for new strategic planning, urge for feedback appraisals, rewards, development of strategic management process, judging the validity of strategic choice, and the like. So feedbacking and control is a very important aspect in the strategic planning and implementation because this is where you get the raw information that would help you formulate a better strategy for the next strategic planning and implementation that will happen in your company. Now, these are the process of strategy evaluation. Number one, we have fixing benchmark of performance. While fixing the benchmark strategies encounter questions such as what benchmarks to set? What are the benchmarks to set? How to set them and how to express them? In order to determine the benchmark performance to be set, it is essential to discover the special requirements of performing the main task. Simply, what are the basis of your success or your failure? What is the specific level of standard upon which you will at some point adapt in order for you to determine whether or not you are successful or not? And these benchmark statements will serve as the basis in evaluating your implemented strategies. Next, we have analyzing the variance. We have to measure the actual performance and comparing it with the standard performance. There may be variance which must be analyzed. And so in this manner, we'll be at some point doing some kind of a statistics when necessary and try to compare the desired outcome and the actual outcome, which would of course result in a valuable insight that will be used for future planning. Then we have taking corrective action. Once the deviation in performance is identified, it is essential to plan for a corrective action. If the performance is consistently less than the desired performance, the strategies must carry a detailed analysis of the factors responsible for such performance. If the strategy is discovered that the organizational potential does not match with the performance requirement, then the standard must be lowered. Another rare and drastic correction action is reformulating the strategy, which requires going back to the process of strategic management, reframing plans according to the new resource allocation, trends, consequent means going to the beginning point of the strategic management process. So in taking corrective action, we use the data as a result of all the implementation done within a specific period of time. And by looking at the data, you take corrective action and implement it, whether or not it requires the overhaul of the strategic plan or at some point only correcting some part of the implementation process, which of course happens from time to time when necessary, especially when the company is suffering some kind of a decline in the productivity or at some point having unable to meet with the desired outcome and result. Right, see you in the next video and thank you for watching.